Hello everyone, my name is Garrett, and today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together. My name is Gabe, and thank you for joining us here on
Studio Classroom. Friends, thanks for joining us for a brand new lesson. Let's get started off with a question. Our question is, do you think farmers should be concerned about the greenhouse gases their work releases? Why or why not? Now, to answer this question, we should probably start off by talking about greenhouse gases.
Yeah, for sure. Our lesson will talk about it a little bit. Greenhouse gases, they maintain a warm temperature by trapping heat from the sun, and this warm temperature allows plants to grow when it would otherwise be too cold for them. But they are actually not good for the environment. We're going to review that a little bit later. Do I think that farmers should be concerned about this? Garrett, of course I do, because they work with animals like cows. We all know that cows produce a lot of CO2. I think a lot of them are concerned already.
And CH4 too. I'm sure some of them are concerned, but most of the time it probably doesn't affect the work they do on a daily basis, so it might be hard for them to think about this. Well, we'll get into this topic. Let's get started with our first reading.
Greenhouse gas reduction in agriculture. Growing food without affecting the environment. Farming is an essential industry, yet many experts worry about the greenhouse gases it releases. So, scientists have been researching ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions without causing food shortages.
Today's article is titled Greenhouse Gas Reduction in Agriculture. We're going to get right into what exactly this problem is.
All right, well, first let's get into our reading here. Growing food without affecting the environment. So we're not talking about the kind of farmer that works with cows like I was mentioning earlier. We're talking about farmers that work mainly with crops. But let's take a look at this word affecting here, because affecting or affect means to cause a change in something.
Right, let's use that in a sentence. We could say, the noise is affecting my ability to concentrate. One thing affects another.
That's right. So we read here, farming is an essential industry. I think we would all agree with that. Yet many experts worry about the greenhouse gases it releases. I have worried more about the type of gases that other type of farming releases when you are working with a lot of different types of cattle, for example. But I haven't really given much thought to the idea that growing crops somewhere may release a lot of unwanted gases.
Right, this might be news to you, but let's get into some of the words in that sentence. Starting off with industry. An industry is a group of businesses that all produce similar goods or services.
That's right. For example, Peggy works in the fashion industry. Garrett and I both work in the education industry. What kind of industry do you work in if you have a job? Well, we see something else here, and that is the word expert. Many experts worry about something. An expert is someone who knows a lot about a particular topic.
Exactly. You might say experts say it's important to drink plenty of water every day. Now, experts often aren't just people who know a lot. They often have an education or a degree in something.
That's right, which is why they know a whole lot more about something than somebody else does. But they worry about something. We all worry about different things. What does it mean to worry about something? This is to feel concerned or nervous about something.
You could say, don't worry about your homework. It's not due until Friday. You still have time.
So many experts worry about the greenhouse gases that farming is kind of producing these days. So scientists have been researching ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions without causing food shortages. And just as a little reminder, if there is a shortage of something, that means there is not enough of it.
Exactly. So we do know some ways we can reduce those greenhouse gases, but will they lead to other problems? How can we fix one thing without breaking the other? Well, we have more to talk about this. Let's get into our next reading.
Greenhouse gas reduction in agriculture. What are greenhouse gases? Greenhouses maintain a warm temperature by trapping heat from the sun, and this warm temperature allows plants to grow when it would otherwise be too cold for them. Greenhouse gases work similarly, except on a global scale. When they are in the atmosphere, they prevent heat from the sun from escaping into space, which, given time, will raise the temperature of the Earth. The widespread and extensive use of coal and oil for fuel has increased the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere over the past few decades. Experts see a correlation between these levels and rising global temperatures. This has led to a global effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lest the changing climate lead to extreme weather, rising sea levels, and other crises.
You've heard us say greenhouse gases a few times already, but what exactly is a greenhouse?
Well, this is something we need to talk about. All right, what are greenhouse gases? Greenhouses, what do? They maintain a warm temperature by trapping heat from the sun. And this warm temperature allows plants to grow when it would otherwise be too cold for them. So you can think about some plants who need a lot of warmth, and so they need some way to stay warm. Well, that's why we have created greenhouses. Garrett, have you ever visited a greenhouse or been inside a greenhouse?
I think so, and sometimes we use that term for these facilities that are in hot places too, and keep it cooler for those plants. These are very interesting places, and they do help maintain a certain temperature. That word maintain means to keep something in a certain condition.
That's right. It's important to maintain your health by eating and exercising well, right? So now you know what a greenhouse is. Greenhouse gases work similarly, except on a global scale. So you can imagine that these greenhouses are keeping the plants warm. Well, gases are keeping the planet warm, which doesn't sound like a good thing.
No, it's not great. That heat or light from the sun comes down to Earth and normally would just bounce back out into space. But the increase of these gases is keeping that energy on our planet and heating it up. That's why we read all of this. When they are in the atmosphere, they prevent heat from the sun from escaping into space.
That's right, and this happens so which given time will raise the temperature of the Earth. When you see a phrase like that, given time, that means if something is given more time, then something else will happen, okay? So if there's a lot of time that passes by, the temperatures on Earth will go up.
Exactly. Well, the widespread and extensive use of coal and oil for fuel has increased the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere over the past few decades.
Yeah, sounds like this is a large contributor to global warming. Let's take a look at that word extensive. If something is extensive, that means it is large in amount or in area.
Right, like the library has an extensive collection of books. Here, that would mean they have a lot of books. Again, that word extensive could mean that something is affecting a large area, like those greenhouse gases, though.
Well, we need to take a look at another word in this sentence, and that is the word atmosphere. This is the air around us. Atmosphere could also refer to the feeling of a certain place.
You could say the factory releases pollution into the atmosphere, which affects all of our health.
You could also say, I really like the atmosphere at that restaurant, or that place has a pretty romantic atmosphere.
Those are good sentences. Let's continue. Experts see a correlation between these levels and rising global temperatures. Gabe, what is a correlation?
I'm glad you asked, Garrett. A correlation is a connection or a relationship between two things. For example, there's a strong correlation between exercise and better health. I think we all know that.
You can often see those on a graph. We continue. This has led to a global effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lest the changing climate lead to extreme weather.
That's right. Let's take a look at a kind of an interesting word here. It's not a word I use too often, but it's the word lest. L-E-S-T. This means in case something bad happens. For example, Tom spoke quietly lest he wake the baby.
Exactly. It's a fun thing to throw into your sentences, even though you probably won't hear it too often.
Yeah, you're right about that. But there's another more common phrase that we should talk about here as well, and that is the phrase to lead to something. This is causes or result in a particular outcome or situation.
For example, poor planning can lead to unexpected problems during a project. So this changing climate can lead to extreme weather, rising sea levels, and other crises. This does not sound good. Friends, we're not quite done yet. It's time now for our info cloud.
Greenhouse gas reduction in agriculture. Greenhouse gases and agriculture. Techniques that farmers use to make their fields produce more crops can release some greenhouse gases. For example, tractors and other farming equipment are usually powered by gasoline, which releases carbon dioxide. Many fertilizers also contain nitrogen, which can be released into the air as nitrous oxide.
So we already know that climate change can lead to all sorts of different problems for people. Let's get back to talking about farming.
That's right. When I think of farming, often I think of a bigger word, and that is agriculture. Here we see greenhouse gases and agriculture. And when you see in writing something and something else, often you're going to learn about how those two things are connected.
Absolutely. Let's do that right now. Let's read techniques that farmers use to make their fields produce more crops can release some greenhouse gases.
So what techniques are farmers using? I'm sure these techniques have changed or evolved over time as well. Hopefully they're evolving for the better now. But we read on here, for example, tractors and other farming equipment are usually powered by gasoline. There's one of the problems, okay, because gasoline does release carbon dioxide.
Absolutely. They use these big machines like tractors. These are large vehicles you'll see farmers using, often to pull other kinds of machines or push things around.
Yeah, I guess maybe the main purpose of a tractor is kind of to prepare the land for planting crops, right? Have you ever ridden on a tractor, Garrett?
I don't remember. I think maybe when I was a kid.
Oh, well, you're kind of lucky. I don't think I ever got that chance. Maybe one day in the future. It does look kind of fun. But yes, that's what a tractor is, friends. So there's other farming equipment that is powered by gasoline. Maybe I take that back. Maybe I don't want to ride on a tractor anymore because it's contributing to the bad CO2 problem. But let's take a look at something else here. Powered by something. This is given energy by something.
Right. For the past 100 years, most cars have been powered by gasoline. You could say the machine is powered by solar energy. Today, many more machines are powered by electricity.
That's right, electricity, solar energy, wind energy. There are a lot of ways we are getting our energy these days, not just by gasoline. Well, we read on here, many fertilizers also contain nitrogen, which can be released into the air as nitrous oxide. We have three more things we want to talk about here. The first is nitrogen. Nitrogen is a gas found in the air that plants need to grow.
Right, it's the most common thing in the air, but here we're talking about it being in the soil, and plants use it to grow fast and healthy.
That's right. Plants absorb nitrogen from the soil to stay healthy. So we want to talk about the idea of being released somewhere, right? To be released into, this is sent out into something, usually into air or water.
Exactly. Smoke might be released into the sky from a big factory. Often we use this in a negative way.
Yeah, that's right. Whenever I see a factory, I think, oh man, well, there goes our environment. But hey, we do still need a lot of these factories, right? But thankfully, we're figuring out ways to do things without releasing a lot of these bad gases. Speaking of bad gases, we want to talk about this final idea, nitrous oxide. This is a gas that can harm the environment.
Right, and nitrous oxide is definitely released by some farming activities. Well, friends, we'll be back with more in just a moment, right after our fun fact.
All right, friends, we've come to the end of our lesson today. Garrett, after reading our lesson today, I think, okay, farmers are thinking about new techniques to use, but how do you think farmers feel about changing the way that they've been doing things?
Well, it's really hard. Things like putting a lot of nitrogen into the soil allows them to grow a lot more plants for a lot cheaper. If they don't do that, they can't compete in the market, even if they would like to do things that are better for the environment.
Yeah, so it is quite a dilemma. Well, friends, this lesson is not over. We have more to learn about it next time, but that's all the time we have for today. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Garrett. We'll see you again next time, right here on Studio Classroom.